Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Theater of Football. Thanks for joining us. Today, we're recapping the Brighton United match. I'm Mike Hodem, and I'm joined by Patrick Heinrich. Patrick, there's another 3 points for United on the South Coast.
Yeah, it was another fantastic game. This one much more exciting, than I think. Even excitement throughout the match, I would say, but still a very exciting game to watch. I had a good time.
Yeah, it was a good match. We're now 15 games unbeaten across all competitions. It was the same 11 players that started the match against Sheffield United 6 days prior, and it was the same scoreline. So appreciate that symmetry there if you're a United fan. Bruno scored twice. He had his shooting boots back. They were recalibrated as you were looking for after the Norwich match, and Greenwood added a goal and a lovely assist as well, I thought. Patrick, was it all positives, you think, coming out of this match?
Yeah, I think it was all positives. I'm looking at it through my very optimistic glasses, but I loved what I saw yesterday. A fantastic match. I thought each player did a great job out there. I think the only criticism I have, which isn't really a criticism, is Martial didn't get any good opportunities. But I know that just goes with the gameplay. But I was really happy to see Fernandez's goals. I think Solskjaer got out the recalibrating tool and put it to good use. So I thought it was great to see that rebuke of any criticism that he had in the Norwich game. So I thought that was fantastic to see.
Yeah, it was a good response from him. He hadn't been playing, I thought, as well as he played before the break for us when he came to the club. I said in the last video, I mentioned that, but I wasn't worried about him. I knew he'd come good, and he already has. So the first goal, lucky deflection, you could say, but he already had that one shot that drilled the post, had Matt Ryan beaten in goal.
Yeah.
All ends up. So yeah, it was a good performance.
Well, it just takes it only takes one game, and you get all of the dissenters who are saying, oh, geez, what mistake did we make by bringing in Bruno Fernandes in the beginning of the year? And now it's just, all of them can go sit down and be quiet again because, one game is not a career. So I think Fernandes was great to, shut down that conversation with his gameplay.
Yeah. I brought it up myself, but I wasn't. I wasn't worried about it. I wasn't saying it was a bad decision to sign him or anything like that.
Right.
He's undeniably class. So great to see him on the score sheet. He looked like he was enjoying himself on the bench when he got taken off a little after the hour mark. So it's nice to get him a rest. Nice to get Pogba a rest as well. And Luke Shaw, who I believe had played every minute up till that point since we returned, to give him a rest too. So lots of good things to talk about. I'm going to put on my Brighton hat for a minute. I looked at I looked at the starting 11 they put out, that Graham Potter put out before the match, and I was surprised to see no Maupay, no Trossard, no Moy. It was a very defensive lineup, and since he's gotten to Brighton, he's kind of changed how they're playing. They're more possession based than they were under Chris Hughton. He's done a good job with that. So I was really surprised that he didn't necessarily set his team up to have a go from the start. And this is something that I haven't been used to seeing since really David Moyes' first game in charge against Swansea, where a team just kind of, I don't want to say park the bus because I don't like that phrase, but they put out a defensive stall for they're hoping like an hour to 75 minutes, and then maybe make a couple subs to bring on some attacking players to nick a point or all three. So I was surprised that Graham Potter did that, but it might be a sign of that teams scouting us are starting to recognize we're playing better. He probably saw our great performance against Sheffield United and was thinking, gosh, I don't know how to deal with Bruno and Paul and Mason and Anthony and Marcus. So he was like, I need to take exercise in risk management here.
Right.
So might be another sign of progress that teams are doing that. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I think we've been hearing since the start of gameplay again that Manchester United has definitely come back from the break, from the pandemic break, with a real zeal to be very, competitive and, be the level of team that we want them to be. And I think a lot of teams are noticing that. Certainly, there's been a lot of talk about the competitive spirit that the team that we saw play yesterday has. The chemistry is coming back in the gameplay. I think that teams are starting to notice that. And I think that that's what Graham Potter was looking at when he was, putting the lineup together for the game yesterday. Was I don't know that we can take this fight to Manchester United anymore. So, let's put the defensive team in, hope for the 1 point from the draw. And, that would be better than no points in a loss. So, and then I think, he had to make the changes to, put back Trossard on after the half when he was at 2-0. So, I think I completely agree. I think that it's starting to get notice from the managers. Certainly I think a lot of commentary we've been hearing over the last month and a half is very positive towards the style of gameplay that Manchester United has created in this atmosphere post-pandemic.
Yeah, no, that's very well put. I watched Brighton play Arsenal. I believe it was Arsenal's second game back, Brighton's first. So I think Graham Potter, in that instance, you look at Arsenal and they're another team like us that has been struggling in recent years to rebuild a real quality winning side that can compete for the league and major trophies. But Graham Potter would have watched them play City, and it's City, and we know the quality that they possess. But he would have saw their performance there, which was really poor, and been like, oh, he would have been chomping at the bit to really get his team on the pitch against them. And the way they started out in that match was completely different to how he started against United. So he would have seen our recent performances both pre and post lockdown and been like, I don't know, we might need to keep things as tight as possible. So I think that's another good sign, but it's also a good sign that we were able to break them down. They did that and it didn't matter. We were 2-0 up at halftime. Could have been 3. And it was another good performance, another encouraging sign that we were able to break down a team that was gonna sit deep and try and make it as tough on us as possible to break them down. So it was very positive for us to do that again.
Yeah, there was reason for his fear, which is good. That's good to see. If he had made that decision and we ended up drawing, I'd be singing a different tune here. But I thought that how we played affirmed that fear, we're going to call it, GP's fear on our gameplay. But what is kind of a little concerning to me too is the end of our schedule is not too terribly difficult. I think our real test is going to be our FA Cup match versus Chelsea and our final game with Leicester. I think that's going to be a good test to see how well we've performed. I just don't want other teams who may have not found their rhythm yet to find their rhythm. And I think I don't want our Manchester United to sit comfortable with these victories. Because I think that some teams are going to start finding their rhythm again, and I think we need to be prepared for that.
Yeah, we don't want the players to become complacent or rest on their laurels. If you watch our Norwich post-match video. It looked like the attitude of the players after we went a goal up until maybe shortly after Norwich equalized was that they could take their foot off the pedal and the game was over, and it was anything but. So we don't need them to become complacent. And like you said, I think of our 6 remaining league matches, 5 of them are against teams in the bottom half of the table.
Right.
So those are all, that should be 15 points right there, but only if the players come out with the proper positive attitude and take the fight straight to the opposition, like we've done against Sheffield United and now Brighton. So that's something we need to guard against, because we've dropped a lot of points this year against teams that we shouldn't have. So
right.
that is something we still need to be wary of, but it's good that we look like we're turning that corner. There's one final thing I'd like to mention. I'm not a fan of his by any stretch of the imagination, like the vast majority of United supporters, but they showed Ed Woodward in the crowd at Brighton yesterday, and I have to give props to him because he knew how to wear a mask properly. I've seen many matches since we've come back where they show chair people, owners, other figureheads at the club in the crowd, and they're wearing their masks like a chin strap.
That's right.
He had his over his mouth and his nose, so I have to give him props there. He at least could figure that out. So happy for him that he was there and he was able to see a good performance. I'm sure he's filled with pride. I don't know how he feels. I shouldn't speculate on that, but at least he wore his mask properly. Maybe he could give his old manager David Moyes a call on how to properly wear a mask. I don't know if you saw him during the City Chelsea match, but
it'd be a fun Zoom session to be a part of. Here's how you wear the mask properly. It has to cover your mouth and your nose. It'd be good.
You can't just wear it as a chin strap either.
Right.
Sorry, that was kind of my Trump voice, but apologies there. But yeah, that was good to see that, you know, he got it right, because I've seen more often than not they show somebody in the stands that's important with a club. And like Kenny Dalglish at Liverpool, I think he was at the Everton match, and they showed him, and it was like dangling like a chin strap. It's like, no, you have to put more effort in than that. But it's good to see. Good job, Ed.
Props.
But that's it on this episode of Theater of Football. For Patrick, I'm Mike. If you enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and please leave comments below on your opinions of how United's looking lately, or your takeaways from the Brighton match, and what you'd like to see going forward from United, or just from this channel, period. Thanks, Patrick, as always, and we'll be back in a couple of days to preview this weekend's action. Thank you.
Cheers.